So we all are well aware of how Jason Statham is the beast, aren't we? But when it came to filming the underwater scenes in Meg 2, even Statham had to raise the bar even higher. I'm not talking about a regular gym exercise routine here. This was a different kind of training altogether, meant to prepare him for one of the most challenging environments one could fathom underwater. Ever wonder what it takes to get those insane underwater stunts done in a movie like Meg 2? Jason Statham did not just show up and take a plunge. The guy went through some seriously crazy training, stuff most people wouldn't even think of. Stick around for the 6 crazy training regimes that made him a legitimate underwater hero of action.
Jason Statham is perfect for this.
Look at this.
Statham's a great action hero.
He's just a quintessential badass.
Believe me, after listening to what he had to experience, you will really enjoy these scenes much more. And before that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Regime number 1: breath hold training. The first thing Jason had to master? Breath hold training. You might think you already knew how to hold your breath, but trust me, this is a whole different ballgame. When you are in the middle of action scenes filmed underwater, you can't just pop up every so often for air. You have to stay under and stay calm to keep performing. Jason trained with free diving professionals in order to increase his ability to hold his breath. Such training would condition the body to withhold more oxygen than that of an average human, and, most importantly, perhaps, learn how to be relatively calm under pressure. What does training look like? It is static apnea training, where you do a hovering breathing right, holding your breath while being perfectly motionless, then later gradually dynamic apnea, holding your breath while swimming actively. Statham worked his way up to holding his breath for over 3 minutes. Imagine that, performing complex underwater stunts, keeping track of choreography, and holding your breath the whole time. Holding your breath while doing something as intense as fighting underwater requires immense focus. This training ensured Jason could stay submerged for longer without needing constant breaks to come up for air, which was essential for the long, continuous takes required for the movie. Regime 2: underwater combat techniques. Now, on to the next crazy part: underwater combat. You might think that a fight scene is the same, whether it's on land or underwater, but water changes everything. Even a simple punch becomes complicated. The water creates resistance, slowing down your movements and making it harder to generate force. Jason had to rework his fighting techniques with actual martial arts experts and stunt coordinators. Contrasting the relationship that goes on between speed and power as on land, this type of underwater combat depends largely on control and precision. This also means that every punch, kick, or block requires exaggeration and clearness in movements to be natural on screen. On top of that, balance becomes a huge challenge. Without gravity to help you, you can quickly find yourself losing your footing pretty fast, so much that you have to learn to control your body in 3 dimensions rather than 2. In many respects, it is almost like learning to fight all over again. The emphasis shifts from raw power to finesse and fluidity. Jason had to perfect his movements to maintain the intensity of the fight while working against the drag of the water. Without this training, the underwater combat scenes would have looked sluggish and awkward. The goal was to ensure that even underwater, the fight scenes looked fast, powerful, and intense, something that could only be achieved through hours of practice and adapting to the resistance of the water. Regime 3: strength and conditioning. When you think of Jason Statham, you probably picture someone who's already in peak physical shape. But for Meg 2, even he had to take his strength training to a whole new level. Underwater scenes are physically exhausting. Every movement is harder, thanks to the resistance of the water, and staying in control of your body is a workout in itself. Preparation for this was done in the way that his strength and conditioning workouts were designed specifically with underwater performance in mind. Lifting heavy weights wasn't as much of a matter, it was functional strength. Jason was doing pretty functional exercises that would strengthen the core, lower body, and endurance as a whole. Think heavy-duty resistance training, high-intensity circuit training, and lots of core work. A solid core is necessary when you fight the resistance of water, and he ensured that Jason stayed on course during all of the underwater shots. He also performed great deals with kettlebells, battle ropes, and weighted sleds, which replicate the resistance to a great extent that one experiences underwater. These exercises were not designed to make him ripped. They were designed to ensure he could do many takes, to deliver lines and do fight scenes without getting tired or losing his shape. The water's resistance makes everything harder. Without this level of conditioning, Jason wouldn't have been able to maintain the energy and strength needed to perform the underwater scenes over multiple takes. His conditioning made sure he could keep going, take after take. Regime 4: swimming drills and ocean training. Of course, when the movie is Meg 2, swimming has to be done very seriously, but not literally. Jason had to swim thoroughly so he could move effortlessly in the water, carrying out stunts, and being able to cope with ocean currents that were unpredictable. His training consisted of swimming drills meant for improvement of speed, endurance, and breath-holding capacity for swimming long distances. That isn't about speed, though. Jason has to be nimble within the water, which is why he practiced underwater navigation with accuracy, too. That's not all. They also had training by Navy SEALs because they handled ocean environments. Conditions were unpredictable. You're working against currents and changing tides, just like across temperature differences. Jason was trained in these real outdoor conditions to ensure that he could adapt to whatever the ocean could throw at him while filming. This ocean training was not only swimming, it was more of honing one's skills to be as calm and collected as possible amidst very tough environments. The scenes in Meg 2 were not shot in a swimming pool. They're done in open water, where conditions can change within seconds. Jason's swimming drills and ocean training prepared him to face any situation he may be presented with. When filming, he won't have to think of anything so much in performance. Just prepare himself for every situation. Regime 5 Fight choreography in an underwater environment. Now, fight choreography is already tough enough on land. Imagine doing it underwater. For Meg 2, Jason had to master underwater fight choreography, which required a completely different approach. Movements are slowed down by resistance while under the water, so a lot of the fight scenes had to be choreographed so that they'd really seem fluid and powerful underwater. Jason worked with stunt coordinators to adapt each movement, punches, kicks, and blocks, to make sure that they looked fast and impactful, even with the added drag of the water. This training was all to learn how to fight while knowing how to move the body so that when you were underwater, it looks dynamic on camera. Choreography had to take into consideration resistance from water, a lack of gravity, and his need to hold his breath. Hours and hours of practice could nail down the timing, movements, coordination. Of course, without proper fight choreography, the underwater combat scenes would have been jerky and unnatural. Jason's training ensured that the fights looked just as intense and fast-paced as they would on land, despite the challenges of the underwater environment. Regime 6 Mental preparation for high-pressure underwater sequences. Finally, one of the most important aspects of Jason's training was mental preparation. Underwater scenes can be mentally draining. Holding one's breath while performing stunts, staying focused in a high-pressure environment, and dealing with the physical strain of working underwater takes a toll not only on your body but also on your mind. Jason practiced meditation, breath control, and visualization techniques to keep his mind sharp during filming. Staying calm is critical when you are holding your breath for long periods, especially in the middle of intense action scenes. One wrong move might provoke the panic that you do not want to have underwater, running out of air. This psychological preparation made it easy for Jason to keep his head straight and on top of things, even when things went terribly wrong for him. It helped him control his breathing, relax, and focus more on performances than being a prisoner of the physical discomfort of being in water for hours. Jason did everything from breath hold training to perfecting underwater combat, making sure that every scene would be as realistic and intense as possible. The next time you are watching Meg 2, you will know exactly how much work went into bringing those underwater scenes up. The crazy dedication it takes to pull off such stunts is proof of the commitment Statham has as an action star. And if you are as impressed as we are, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for even more behind-the-scenes peeks into Hollywood's hardest working action heroes. Thanks for watching.